Ok, sono in diretta.
Welcome everybody.
Un attimo, deve accenderlo.
No, ma un attimo, ragazzi.
Stiamo avanti.
Siamo in diretta.
Non è che sono io lento a cliccare.
Sì, va bene. Prego.
Welcome everybody, and thank you for being here in the last part of the first day of our conference. We are here with the colleagues Lorenzo Invesi and Pierpaolo Peruccio of SID, which is the Italian Society of Design, and they will introduce a speech, the speech towards an international SID. But let me say a few words on the friend and colleague Lorenzo and Pierpaolo. Lorenzo Invesi is a full professor at Sapienza University of Rome, where he is also director of the SDR Sapienza Design Research. He is the new, just elected president of Cumulus Association. Bravo. And is member of the executive committee of the EAD, European Academy of Design, a member and today a representative of the board of SID, the Italian Society of Design. While Pierpaolo Peruccio is full professor of design at the Politecnico di Torino, he is director of the SIDER, Systemic Design Research and Education Center in Lyon and Turin. He is also a board member of the International World Design Organization, the WDO. He currently works on research in the field of systemic design. So we have two very international guests, but also Italian member of the SID. I leave the floor to them, and thank you for being here with us.
Okay, thank you to everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting. I have to thank first Flaviano Celaschi and all the people from Bologna. It's very nice to get back with so many friends here and to see also some of them here, also the new elected members of the board of Cumulus. I've seen before Roberto Iniguez, and which I'm very, very happy to work with for the next 3 years. And of course, thanks to everyone. I know there's, a lot has been done behind, not only from the Italian community, but also from the Latin American community, to the Latin network. I know that lots has been done to support me in the last few months, so I'm very emotional at the moment. And I'm very happy also to be here with Pierpaolo. And we've been sharing the last few months together, and he knows everything behind, what's happening behind. And also with Pierpaolo, we are members of the Italian Society of Design. I guess this presentation is directly, mainly, at least the very first part, to the international community who's connected here or is attending here. That the Italian community here know very well what is the Italian Society of Design, so that's probably something that is not a new thing, but we are here on the behalf of the Italian Society of Design that is doing a job now at the moment about internationalization. And I think that's part also, as the Italian Society, to work to develop the larger international network. Of course, as any society of design, the primary goal of the SID is to develop a discussion around design. And of course, not only internally in the Italian community, but also externally. And as you can see here, you can see the board, the new board of SID that was elected 1 year ago. Raimondo Riccini is the president. And that's okay. That's all. Yeah, yeah. At the bottom here, you can see also a number of logos that are all the international societies, associations that are now at the moment involved with the board of directors of the Italian Society of Design. You can see here the ICOGRADA, the Italian Society of Color, WDO, Cumulus, and the Design Association for, was it Design for All? Design for All Europe. And those society are pretty much somehow within our SID, because the members of the board are also somehow involved in those associations. So SID, I think also this is also speaking about how much the Italian society, in general, the Italian community of design is changing. I mean, the DNA of the Italian community is changing pretty much, so it's pretty much already open to internationalization. That means that that's something changing in the people that are, you know, some in their careers, not just in their careers, but in the work they're doing, in the networks they're developing. They're already doing a lot of internationalization. See if it's working. Okay. You can put all of that. So these are pretty much some of the goals that have behind the Italian Society of Design. It is, of course, promoting the study and the research activities of design, collaborating with bodies, national, European, and non-European. That is pretty much about internationalization, of course. Debating all the criteria of defining scientific quality of research. This is something also that is pretty much interesting for internationalization. How much can we compare, you know, not only the educational programs, but also the research project we're developing, you know, within Europe and also outside. That's something that we need to develop, that kind of discussion that is pretty much open in the larger community. And fostering also the collaboration and related bodies of associations and contacts between scientific research. As you know, in Italy, we have two main bodies. The SID is pretty much about research. We have another association that is CUID, SUID, which is more about the educational program. So we have this kind of two national bodies that are pretty much, you know, looking into the two main, you know, missions of academics. Okay, so we're speaking pretty much about the international space of knowledge, and the international space of knowledge started pretty much with the process of Bologna. That was started really pretty much many years ago. It's nice to say that in Bologna, of course, this started when the Erasmus program pretty much started. And it is not only about developing networks of educational networks for the students, for exchanging the students and also the academics and the professors, but it's also developing a space that could be compared with one each other. Think about a few years ago how much an educational program in Italy was pretty much different from any other educational program, and also the classes, the courses, and the credits could not be compared. So a lot has been done since that time in order to develop this kind of international space of knowledge so that we really can commute, travel, network, exchange, share knowledge, and pretty much have some kind of commonalities. Of course, respecting the differences. And there are also some principles that are very important. And I think it's very important also to mention that again. Okay, this is part of the Bologna process. The European space of higher education is based on academic freedom. Think about how much this is important nowadays. Institutional autonomy and the participation of teachers and students in the governance of higher education. We need to generate academic quality, economic development and social cohesion, encourage students and teachers to move freely. This is pretty much now in danger. It is true that we cannot move that, you know, that easily anymore, around the world, I would say. Don't think about the wars, think about all the issues we have nowadays to travel and to share, educational programs around. Helps the employability and lifelong learning of the graduates, respects students and faculty members as members of the academic community, and opening up an outside world and collaborates with higher education in other parts of the world. Now, these principles are very important, and we need pretty much to stress on them, not just for what happened just until yesterday, but also for our future. These are principles that we could share until yesterday, but pretty much these are put in danger also for the future. Okay, and this is when we speak about the space of knowledge, we speaking about the collective intelligence. It's pretty much the same. Collective intelligence is about the cognitive capacity of a society, a community, and a group of individuals, which was pretty much the concept that we know from Pierre Levy. We are developing this kind of large, huge, multiplied brain that's pretty much is connecting each one of us, and that means also that we can share a language. We can share somehow some kind of a very elementary principle that is helping us to develop this kind of large collective intelligence. Then we started, very recently also to map the societies of design in the world, and Pierpaolo is going to start speaking about the results from this kind of mapping.
Yes. Okay. Yes, we try to map the design associations worldwide. So as you see, there are 63. So it's not an ultimate picture. It's something that we started just a few weeks ago. So it's an ongoing research. So we are very happy if you can provide some feedbacks about it. So we started to cluster considering the geographies, considering the topics, and here you see just some iconic, let's say, association. Some of them are very old, such as the Design Council you see on the right side. Design Council was created in 1944. Even the International Council of Design, the so-called ICOGRADA, was founded in 1963. So Cumulus Association actually not far away, but some decades ago. The WDO, so the so-called ICSID, International Council of Industrial Design Societies, was established in 1957. So the Latin design process, 2008 in Torino, the Systemic Design Association just a few years ago. So this is just an idea of the main, let's say, design association, scientific design association. If we move to the cluster, so if you see the Europe, of course, design associations are very Eurocentric. So most of them are in Europe. If you go ahead. Okay, we have Asia, and if, sorry, I stay just for a while in America. As you see, there are few organizations, few bodies, and most of them are in North America, Oceania, and Africa. Africa, just one. We, as I said, we tried also to cluster considering the topic. So design association you see here, and regarding the interior design association, here you have a picture. The same regarding the color association and the art design association, Design for All, and design history societies. What is interesting here is that most of the design history association have also a magazine, an international review, such as, for instance, Design History Society, the same regarding the Italian ICE Design. We have also to say that most of let's say, the design organization started to grow in the decades between 1950s and the 60s. So we see just some events, very, very famous, such as the Aspen Conference, in the International Aspen Conference in the United States from 1951 until 2004. The ICOGRADA, already mentioned, 1963, WDO, 1957. but also the school, international schools, play an important role. Of course, I don't have to say anything about the Hochschule für Gestaltung that closed in 1968, but we should also enlarge this map, considering also, for instance, some books, such as Arion and Parking, a fundamental book regarding the corporate image, as we consider corporate image worldwide. The same regarding some international organizations, such as UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, so very close to United Nations, for developing economics worldwide. And of course, there is another big topic concerning the political issues. The kitchen debate is very, very famous. It happened in the middle of the Cold War. So this is just a picture regarding the two superpowers. From on one side, yes, Soviet Union, the other side, United States. And maybe you are familiar with this picture, it's quite famous. So here we see two, let's say one is Richard Nixon, the vice president of the United States. On the right side, on the left side, there is Nikita Khrushchev, the president of Soviet Union. And they were debating, they were talking at the American National Exhibition in Moscow, 1959, about what? About kitchen, about washing machines, about some soups, about some products concerning the American way of life. So furniture, let's say also appliances, were metaphor also of the American dream. So this is a very well-known example of the power also of design. 75 young Americans were sent to Moscow to work as guides during the 6 weeks long exhibit. And for many Soviet citizens, it was the first time they met an American person. As we said earlier, most of the design bodies, design organization came out during the 50s and the 60s. There were several reasons. We mentioned the Cold War, let's say, topic. Of course, it was important to using design also to express, to highlight some points of the design culture in one nation or in a country. Of course, structuralism was really important. Structure was a key point, a key word during that period. So a design body was a structure with a steering committee, with the president, with some rules. So there is a precise structure, and it was very important to have a structure as a totem word. A reaction to nationalism. Most of this association, as we said, came after World War II. So it was against a nationalism that caused two world wars. Moving forward in Eurocentric narrative, again, many design organizations such as WDO was founded in London in 1957. It started from 1953 in Paris, but in any case in Europe. So the idea was also to move in other countries, to improve also national economies. This was the period where there were many important, let's say, international organizations such as the EEC, European Economic Community, that came into operation in 1958, but also the ALALC, the Asociación Latinoamericana de Libre Comercio, in 1960. Very important also to push the moving of the goods from different countries. So for a global market position, but there are other, of course, reasons. As we said, WDO was important. Let's say they say that it's the main international voice. So it's one of the main international voices for industrial design. It brings together, let's say, the industries, the universities, and also the professionals. So it's important because it brings together the entire community. And also received a consultative status of the United Nations in 1974. And next year we'll be celebrating the 65th anniversary of this organization. So there are many programs. I just want to mention the World Design Capital. The first one was in Turin, 2008. This year is Valencia, 2024. 2022, and 2024 will be a double capital, Tijuana and San Diego. So it's really important because two countries, two cities with, some things in the middle. So, and again, a metaphor of several topics. You see that the interdesign is a very interesting, let's say, workshops, 2 weeks workshop, but before that, there is the picture, because we do collaborate also with the ISS, the NASA, so the International Space Station. It's a kind of national laboratory. But I just want to mention and just want to say a little bit about the interdesign. So we started in 1971 with these 2 weeks workshops, and 2021, so 50 years. And we try also to map in these 50 years what happened. The first one was in, as you see, in Soviet Union, 1971. The title was really interesting, The Production and Distribution of Bread. And it was designed, let's say, it was organized also in collaboration with the Soviet Design Organization. Soviet Union, again in 1980, Design for City Environment. So WDO tried also to create some bridges between the first world and the periphery, the so-called periphery. So here there is the list with the countries and the topic. So if we cluster again, considering the topics, we see that food was one of the main topics, starting from, as we said, 1971. Transportation, something regarding the city, even in 1974 in Ireland. Social design was really important, starting from 1976, natural resources, tourism, local identity, interior, and so on. WDO talks and general assemblies are other important, let's say, events where there was a really interesting merge of the design community. And we can also say that there was also a circularity of some people that moved from, let's say, General Assembly to some other places, also providing some scientific content. I just want to make an example. This is the program of the 6th ICSID Congress in 1969 at Queen Elizabeth Hall in London, 1969. At the time, the president of ICSID was Tomás Maldonado. Here you see the speakers. There was Kenneth Boulding, he's an American economist. But we see also Gillo Dorfles, Italian art and design critic, Vishani, that was a Soviet scientist, but also Hazan Ozbekan, who was a scientist coming from the area of cybernetic. He was from Turkey. So again, cybernetic and economy coming together to the role of the project, and also the future, the role of the futurists such as Donald Schoen and other people. So this is just, sorry, I did not summarize, but I just want to say that we wanted to stress the importance also of design history, in particular with a specific focus on design association. We think that there is a great potential also for developing new researches.
Yeah, perfect, thank you. Just at the end, few words about Cumulus. What is Cumulus? Cumulus is the International Association of University and Colleges of Art, Design and Media. Let's see if we can go ahead. Yes, please. Yes. Now, this is a big map, which is starting to be old, because nowadays Cumulus Association is collecting more than 350 members, which are schools of art and design around the world. Last General Assembly, we were about 220, so we're missing something like 130, and that number is raising every year, because we're getting every year something like 30 new members. If you can go ahead. uh, usually what now we've been starting thinking about what is in the last few months, what is Cumulus, and so many ideas came out. I personally think that Cumulus is like the coffee break. Coffee break is the time where you meet people. You go to a conference because you have to present your paper, your research, but also because you need a coffee. And during the coffee, you connect to people and you network and you develop, and maybe you share knowledge at that point, because that is the time where new networking and new networks of research can be developed at that point, new ideas. And so pretty much Cumulus is that kind of large environment, which is very familiar, not too much rigid, always smiling and nicely, where everyone feels at home in a way, very welcoming, let's say. Which is pretty much the coffee break. Still you go to a conference because it's part of your, of your career for presenting your paper, to present your research, but also, to think about the future. And I think Cumulus is pretty much about that kind of nice, familiar environment. And it is also related with the idea of third mission. First mission is education, second mission is research, but then we have also third mission, which is that kind of bridge developing in between what is happening at university and what is outside university, the society. I think that one of the best, things that Cumulus is doing is pretty much developing third mission even before we started, understanding what is the third mission, which is also related to the production of goods, because once you bridge with, your research into the society, you pretty much develop a public good. You make your research available to a larger audience. You make your research useful to society, which I think should be, always, in our mind when we develop a research, mainly when we do design research. Now, this is one of the, I'm sorry to say that. I mean, that's one of the latest conferences we had in Rome. That was last year, Design Cultures. Here are also a couple of our people that really worked, very hard. Angela and Victor, who worked very hard to develop this. Why I'm mentioning this conference? Because we were in the middle of pandemic. We were going back and forth. The 2 months before, we were going in presence, then back again online. And then we found that kind of solution that was the kind of hybrid solution, helping people, stay at home and participate anyway. But then also other people may come in Rome and participate at the conference. Paolo was there, for example. And but then, the challenge was, how can we develop that kind of physical experience, which is pretty much about Cumulus, when people are so far away. Helping people to participate to a conference without traveling, I think it's a very democratic issue. That means that we can also enlarge the audience to a number of people that cannot afford, paying, a large amount of money for traveling and going to another place. But at the same time, our commitment was, how can we bring that kind of culture, local culture, which is also made of food, it's made of environment, it's made of places, it's made of experience, physical experience, while you're far away. So we started thinking, for example, what you bring back when you go back. So we had a sort of experience design projects. We really took this as a sort of experience design project. As an example, we always keep our tag, but if you're participating online to a conference, how can you bring back the kind of souvenir, that physical souvenir that you keep hanging on your chair also after a few years? So we made a number of postcards, physical postcards, printed postcards with the name of everyone, and we sent it physically to each of the people registered, so they could keep that kind of, again, that physical experience. And then we started thinking, well, food experience is important. How can we bring that kind of food experience which is in Italy, of course, is very important because you come to Italy not only for the conference, but you also you like food. So how can we bring that to people that are far away? So we had a food designer for every lunch break explaining a specific food like pizza, ice cream. And the day before, we sent to everyone a sort of tutorial how to do ice cream, how to do suppli or pizza at home. So the people could do that if they wanted. So again, it's a learning experience, it's a do-it-yourself experience, and it's digital, but still it's also physical. And of course, a number of other experiences like visiting places and so on. So that was an experience design project that we delivered to the community, to the Cumulus community. And I think it was a very good learning experience for everyone, which I wish you're going to keep also for the future, because when you design something, it's also for changing, the future and to develop something that will stay also for the future. Yeah, we can go ahead. And now this is bloody important. Sorry to say that. I mean, design culture the conference was called Design Cultures. Now, how can we have a war. I mean, we cannot end any kind of a conversation without mentioning the fact that there is a war happening somewhere. And, we in June, we had scheduled a conference in Russia, and we had to cancel that. Now, there's a number of discussion behind that. I don't want to go there. I think that always any international institution, design institution, should always speak with the language of peace. Taking people around the table, bridging the people that are always far away, but we have to speak the language of peace, always. So that's the reason why I think that now more than any other time, it is important to speak about design cultures for peace. There's not only one culture, there are many cultures in the world. In my experience, Cumulus helped me to understand, I'm coming from the Italian perspective, but getting to Cumulus helped me to understand there are so many design cultures around, and the diversity is a richness. But that kind of richness is endangered at this point, because it's not only the war in Ukraine and Russia, but there are so many wars around the world, and it's not just the latest one. So we, as an international community, we always have to speak. We always have to say something about peace. And we get into the end. This is a picture that probably you know very well. Pierpaolo was speaking about Tijuana and San Diego. This is a picture coming from the wall that is dividing pretty much, Mexico and US. And some strange guys wanted even to have it higher until a few years ago. Now, I believe that thinking of having a world which is completely united and without borders probably is an utopia. We can go ahead. Is an utopia. But as designers, we can take this challenge thinking that every kind of border can be a contact area, can be a place where people can meet together, speak together, share new ideas, make innovation, and develop design. Design has the language which is useful to speak about, about this kind of contact. This is a contact area, for example. This is a contact area where many people can, be together without any kind of border and can speak together with the same kind of language. And I will leave you with this quotation from Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattari. Knowledge is living only within the mobile borders, in the intersections, in the interferences, where everything is a question of contamination. And I think we're doing a very good job of contamination at the point. Thank you.
Voilà. Thank you, Pierpaolo. Thank you, Lorenzo. I think that We really appreciate your contribution and your view towards an international dimension of communities, association as communities, and your definition of borders. I think it's the right way to end today's meeting, also thinking about how the border is a stereotype of geography and how can we change our idea of border. So I really appreciate this conclusion. I think that we are all very tired from today. Some friends check let effect. So I think that with this speech, we can conclude today, the first day of the forum, and we meet together again tomorrow morning. The session will start at 9:30 in the morning, but we can meet here at 9 for a coffee break together, and then lunch, and then dinner. And so it's a very busy day. So take your care and descansas. Non mi viene la parola inglese. And see you tomorrow here in the parallel session starting at 9:30. So thank you again.